Some children of the future, but not the ones that's born in the 2000s. Do you think we skip generations every time it's the children of the future? Like, it's children of the future, and then it's like, not.
I never knew there was a
La like this.
Hello and welcome to another beautiful episode of Love Like This. I am the one and only Orlando Roy, aka Horlando. I'm sitting here with my wife-to-be, not engaged, but wife-to-be.
Milah. Hi.
Why'd you look at me like that?
No, I'm just looking at you.
Okay. And if this is your first time listening to this Lovecast, then welcome. If this is... How did the intro go again? If this is the first time listening to this podcast, then welcome. If this is your 50th, 100th, or 150th time listening to this podcast, then I can't believe we've been going this long. And if you've been listening to the beginning, wow, you've made it to episode 5. Welcome.
You're just making shit up at this point. You don't
No,
know.
I said this before.
You don't know what you said.
We were gone for a little while, so I forgot.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, baby. How are you? You're
I'm
so
good.
pretty. I love your door knockers. Really East Coast.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Can you shake them a little bit? Shake it for me.
No.
I was gonna tell you about Roblox. So, I'm with our daughter, and she's telling me how first of all, she asked me about double dating. Right? She
I
asked me
thought I heard her say that, but I didn't. I forgot to
Yeah,
ask.
she had asked me if me and you ever double date. And I'm like, yeah, kinda, I guess. You know, sometimes we've been on out with like friends that were in relationships. So she was asking me like, you know, what do you do on a double date? And I was like, honestly, you just go hang out, talk, just like chilling with friends, but you try to make sure that your relationship seems better than the other person's relationship. So she was like, oh, okay, I get it.
It's not what you do on a double date. I also heard you respond this way, and I ignored you, but...
That's not what you're doing. You don't make sure your relationship is better than the other person, people.
No. If you're going on a double date... Oh, excuse me. Like I can't yawn on camera anymore. That came for me last time I yawned. If you are going on a double date to prove that your relationship is better than the other people's, it probably isn't. Because anybody who has a good relationship is not going on a double date with the intention to prove anything.
Yeah, but once you don't have to go with the intention to prove, but once you're there.
You obviously haven't been on many double dates.
No, obviously not. My relationship is always usually better anyway.
We gotta put the restrictions on Roadblocks. So she said that somebody asked if they could go on a double date.
Right. So
on Roadblocks?
Yeah. Apparently they have like different servers, and in the servers, that's where they group a lot of people because there's so many people on Roblox. So they put them in a smaller group called servers, and in the servers you can like in Roblox you can build stuff and create. So you can create your own home, and when you create your own home or building whatever, it gives you like your own space to do that. But anybody that's in that server can go to your space. So apparently her and Ari are chilling, being 9 years old. And then they said somebody came into like wherever their house was. And it was just like, just in the area. And then there is a text box where you can like write to people that's in that like area or the whole Roblox or what the fuck ever. She said that somebody wrote asking, do y'all want to go on a double date? And she was like, I thought it was weird. And I was like, I looked at Ari and I was like, I think this is an adult. And I think it's weird. And I was like, that's good. Thank you.
Perfect. Now everybody knows that we let her be unsupervised on the World Wide Web.
She wasn't on the web. She was on Roblox. What kid isn't on Roblox?
It's the World Wide Web. Obviously, we could just be talking to adults for no goddamn reason.
She wasn't unsupervised. She was in her own space doing her own thing, but I was proud of her for being, aware of her surroundings and knowing how to react.
Yeah. Got to get her off of that. It's the devil.
We're having some proud dad moments with that girl.
Like what?
Like riding bikes with her. Like riding bikes with her, going outside. I be outside with Luna, like I'm a single dad. Trying to look for a woman. be walking around like in Crocs and stuff. She ride her bike, let her ride ahead, and I be seeing women look at us,
No women are looking at you.
smiling.
You lying.
Hi, how y'all doing? Good evening. It's just me, a dad.
Can she hear us? Because she just gave me the thumbs up that you're lying.
She's not giving you a thumbs up that I lied.
Can she hear us?
I don't think so. No. You can hear us? Oh, she can hear us.
Great.
Anyway, I'd be trying to have her out like I'm a single dad trying to look for a woman. It's actually kind of fun. But last time somebody saw us and was like, "Did you get her that bike?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You're a good father.
He was homeless.
My father didn't do that for me. You're a good dad." I was like, "Thank you. I try my best to be." Had her from 0 years old.
Lies.
We're a family. What do you want me to say? Oh, no, I just popped in a year ago. No, I'm not really that good of a dad.
You refuse to ever say I just popped in
Yeah, no.
2 years ago, and now I'm here, so I'm refreshed and excited.
I wanted to ask you today, how was growing up in your family dynamic? I know a little bit, but I don't think I really asked you the in-depth details of this.
What do you think you know?
I know that you were born in Alabama. It's 555, by the way. I love you.
Love you.
You hold my hand in this moment of silence. 5-second moment of silence. If anybody doesn't know, you should use angelic numbers as a time to make a wish. Apparently, that's when something's the strongest. Your manifestations are the strongest.
It's just angel numbers. So it's they're angel numbers, so it's just nice to remind yourself to make a manifestation during those times.
I know that you grew up, you were conceived in Alabama, born in Alabama, Montgomery. Your parents are from Philly. You went to Philly for a few summers. You have a little brother. What?
I didn't go to Philly for. What do you mean?
You were raised in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
You were raised in Philly for like what, a year or two,
Yeah.
and then moved to
Yeah.
L.A. and then you went back to Philly for a few summers.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little brother, and your mom and dad been together since college,
High school.
high school. Whoa, whoa, and they're like what? Now like in their 40s,
My dad's gonna be 60.
in their 50s. They've been together since high school. That's a long time to be with somebody.
No shit.
Sheesh. Yeah. So that's about what I know.
I mean, that's all pretty accurate. Yeah, they went to Tuskegee. They met in high school. My mom was 14. My dad was 17. They've been together ever since. My mom had me in college. I lived in Philly for a brief amount of time. We moved out here. My brother was born out here. We're 6 years apart. My parents were young parents. Like, I guess when I was born, my mom was like 22 or 23. And in hindsight, being as though I was 27 when I had Luna, and I know now, like, that's a baby. She was pretty young. And I guess I had a pretty regular upbringing. My parents were fucking nuts because I don't think they ever fully matured or grew up past when they met. So, yeah, they just acted crazy. Fighting a lot, arguing. But we did mostly just regular family shit, you know? Summer trips to Philly, vacations, ski trips. My dad's father dipped with the babysitter, some young babysitter. So I think my dad has a lot of trauma from that. So although he didn't come home all the time, he wouldn't leave. But I realized too, like as I get older, that a lot of my memories are vague. Like it just seems like a blur, and I realize now it's a lot of times it's because there's disassociation and trauma that you can't remember. So a lot of times, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just a long time ago, so I can't remember my childhood." But a lot of times, it's because you're subconsciously hiding something from yourself that you've forgotten.
Is there anything you feel like you disassociated from when growing up, as far as associates to your family?
I just think they fought a lot. There was so much arguing. I just really wanted them to shut the fuck up a lot. And I remember even before I went to college, I was like, first of all, they both went to Tuskegee, which is HBCU, and so I was mandated to go to an HBCU, and I wanted to. I went to mostly white schools, growing up in the Valley, but yeah, my senior year, I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. You guys are nuts. My parents went out a lot. I did a lot of staying home alone with my brother. Holidays weren't that big of a deal. Like, we celebrated and shit, but like, it wasn't like I got an Easter basket every fucking Easter and every Christmas.
Now
like,
we got a kid that fucking can't stop asking for a goddamn Easter basket.
She loves holidays,
Jesus.
and it is problematic for me because not problematic, but I kind of forget like that. These are things. I mean, I try. I did good this Christmas. I've done good. You know,
You do good. You do great.
It's just not something that's been a big deal because my parents aren't very weren't religious or super big on holidays. So I did a lot of holidays with friends' families. I was allowed to stay stay at friends' houses a lot. I stayed home a lot. They went out a lot. I babysat a lot, and spent a lot of time alone. And they were just nuts. And I think because my dad was going out and dipping and doing God knows what, and my mom was furious all the time. She took it out on me a lot. And
what did that look like?
just acting crazy, cursing me out when he wouldn't come home and talking shit to me and taking away my privileges because she's mad at another nigga that's not me. But me and my dad have similar personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was like resentment for that, as if, duh.
It's funny because my mom would get mad at me, and her reasoning would be like, "You're just like your father." Like, you just like your father. I'm like, me and this nigga is nothing alike.
I heard
like,
that a lot. You're just
like,
you're just like your dad. You're just like your dad. I heard that a lot. And like, duh, bitch, you got a baby with him.
Sorry for being half my dad.
I don't really have a choice. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it got physical. And I told you that in 7th grade, the Department of Child Services came to my house because
You told me this?
I thought I did.
No, you never told me this. Breaking news. Titty about to come out.
I wrote in my journal that my mom kicked me one time. Well, I was on the phone, and she did. And they read my full fucking journal because I also said I wanted to get fingered. Like all the teachers at my then very dumb Lutheran school.
You said you want to get what?
I just want to say fuck you, St. Lutheran in North Hollywood, California.
Okay.
You're lucky I can't remember those fucking bitch ass teachers' names.
So they went through your journal. They saw you want to get
They
fingered.
took my journal early in the year. They kept it the whole semester, read it, passed it through other teachers. And this is problematic because they were Lutherans, and I was definitely talking about wanting to get finger banged in the 7th grade. And I wanted to like move on from scamming. We used to call it making out scamming. Did you call it making out scamming?
No, we just call it kissing like regular people.
Okay, well, in the Valley, we're calling it scamming. And I was really wanting to get finger banged, apparently. And I think everybody read it. They told my parents at the end of the school year. I had also included that my mom had kicked me, which she had. And so one day we came home, and the motherfucking child abuse, whatever, department had left a card on the door. And, if they come to your house, it's pretty serious. So they're like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I don't know.
I didn't tell you about it. You kicked me.
And then I guess later we called, and there was whatever report that blah blah blah.
That Milah map got kicked.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Not being normalizing child abuse, but I mean, it was just chaos. It was low key normal in my family, and also like chaos, and also you better not tell anybody our business was also normal. My dad going out a lot and not leaving. I know yesterday Luna was grabbing at your ankle when you were going somewhere, and I just remembered the trauma I have from my dad fucking leaving, saying he's not leaving, then disappearing, promising to come back, telling me let's play hide and go seek, and then I would count to 100, and then he would leave. And it probably plays a part in a lot of my abandonment issues now. But, again, like I said, a lot of times we are forgetting that we're operating from that person, like that origin story.
Yeah.
And so we don't associate a lot of our adult behaviors with that. And as I've grown and, attempted to be on this healing journey, I realized that a lot of my behaviors probably stem from those traumas, seeing them fight, my mom kick and scratch and fight my fucking dad, and just crazy shit. My dad's like cheating, my mom fucking screaming it throughout the house, accusing him of cheating. My mom is extremely jealous, probably because he was a cheater, but I think I've inherited that in ways because I just heard it so often. But yeah, when it was time for me to go to college, I said, listen here, when I get the fuck out of here, I'm never coming back. I literally said that so many times. And I also realized, like, my parent, like, how we talk to each other is, like, a bit aggressive. There's not a
That's my
lot
least favorite part
of what?
of you.
Fuck you. I don't know if this is a black family thing or just my family. There's not a lot of, like, affirming. It's like you kind of insult to affirm. It's like, I love you, ugly. That's just, like, the love language. And so I realized in my adulthood, it's harder for me to affirm and to just, like, not be kind, but to just be, like, all soft and cushy and shit. I'm kind of a direct to the point type of person because of that.
Wow.
What?
That's beautiful. I learned things I didn't know. That was nice.
Thanks. How did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
My childhood.
Your story of origin.
My story of origin. I think my story of origin is interesting. I'm not sure if people will agree. I was born in Jamaica. My earliest memories is actually being raised by my grandmother. I don't remember seeing my mom or my dad's face until I was like 5 years old. So I was raised in Jamaica, in real ghetto, third world country part of Kingston, um, which is the capital. And the area I was raised in was called Saint. I was raised around Mary Lane. So I think about 5 years old, I came to New York. My parents like brought me up here. I was also very bad as a kid, very very bad child.
Shocker.
You motherfucker. So when I first came up here, all I remember was my grandmother. So it took me a while to feel like I needed a connection with, or felt a connection with my parents. But I came to learn that my parents were not together. That my dad was already married. Took me a few years as a child to like really understand like the situation I'm in, because to me it's like I want to go back to Jamaica, to my grandmother, the woman who raised me. Who are you people? And then I get thrown into like this turmoil of my dad being married. I was the firstborn, which my mom was like my dad's side chick, I guess. And he was still married. I was born, and then that caused a lot of hostility because my dad was married and he had a firstborn outside of his marriage, and then went and had my little brother like maybe a year after me, or actually like a few months, but it's a year because I have an early birthday, he had a late birthday, what the fuck ever. But it was more like you're giving me a baby because you gave this other bitch a baby as your first son.
Do you know how long they were married before you came along?
No, funny enough, a lot of like information about my parents before me, I really don't know about. I don't know like their origin, their upbringing. I know my dad has a bunch of fucking brothers and sisters. My mom has like two sisters, one brother, and
She's a twin.
She's a twin, yeah. And my dad's mom died when he was really young. That's about as much as the family history I know, as far as regards to like both my parents. But yeah, for most of my life, as far as I can remember, my mom, in the most like best word I can give, chased around my dad for a good part of my life. Um, and they were still messing around, I think, up until maybe I was a preteen. And then my dad finally found another woman aside from both of them. They
Mm.
were fighting each other. They were fighting for my dad. My mom was fighting me because she was mad at my dad. So a lot of that anger just kind of got like redirected towards me. And in Caribbean fashion, that just means I got my ass beat a lot. So at a very um, even in high school, I was wondering like even in like maybe up to like the ninth or 10th grade, I was wondering if I was being child abused.
You weren't sure.
But the thing about it is the shit was so normal. Imagine
Mm.
you getting your
Well,
ass beat.
you don't know. There's no gauge.
Yeah,
No one. You don't really know you're getting child abuse until you like read a book.
yeah.
And you're like, this seems familiar.
This is crazy because I read the book A Child Called
Me
It,
too. Yeah.
and that was the book that was like, I'm not getting fucked up like this nigga is, but I'm still getting fucked up, and under the definition is child abuse. So
I feel like a
um,
lot of kids get child abused and they don't recognize it as such.
yeah. Well, and then wow, my memory's like coming back to me now. Because I remember one of my things about being abused was also that nobody was listening to me,
Mm.
right? So no matter if I complained or even if I told somebody, they're gonna go back and tell my mom because the only people I could tell is adults in my vicinity, and I don't know what it is, but you know how to. Well, I don't know what it is, but you tell an adult like something's happened, and they go back and tell your mom, she's gonna beat my ass. So
Right.
then she beats my ass, and I'm like, I can't tell nobody this shit. So I would just had to like endure it, and I realized that at a certain age, I just had to wait until I was older. So like, imagine like probably since junior high school, I was just like waiting out the years, counting the days, waiting out the years until I'm out the fuck of here.
Oh
Because
my
I
God,
know I
me
can't.
too.
Yeah, I couldn't tell anybody because I feel like they're just gonna tell my mom, and that's just gonna be more detrimental. So like looking for help was not safe for me. So I just had to wait it out. And I remember my first like, cause getting beans as a kid in Jamaica is
Not child abuse.
yeah, right. It's not child abuse, but as a kid, like I'm being bad, and it's only my grandmother watching me in this like little ghetto town of Jamaica, and I'm like bad, so I'm getting my ass beat. So got used to getting my ass beat very early, so it just felt normal.
Normal.
And then when I came to America, funny enough, I don't really tell a lot of people this story. I was probably maybe in fourth, 4 years, 4 or 5 years old. I was like in the first grade. Yeah, because I didn't do kindergarten. I went to the first grade. And I probably came through like maybe a few months into like starting the school year. So I'm just a young Jamaican kid. I don't really know much. And I had a white teacher, and she used to hit me when I was like in the first grade. And I remember going. Not only would she hit me, but she would write like reports about me saying that I was being bad in class, and I wouldn't be doing anything. And I remember, and I'm like, wait, why did she write that? Next thing I know, I was getting beat. So I would go to school, and this racist teacher would just like write reports about me saying I'm bad, or like if I'd said anything, she would like sit me in the corner and then write on a report. Orlando got sent to like the thinking chair or some
Right.
shit like that today, or she had to like hit me with the ruler today, which means that she's gonna go home. I'm gonna go home, show my parents, or show I was staying with my mom and my mom's twin, my aunt.
Hmm.
I've also denounced her as my aunt, so I just call her my mom's twin. But
Not denounced her.
but it's like a layer of beatings, right? So I got hit by the teacher in school, which then wrote a report to my mom at home, and then my aunt would get wind of the report first, so my aunt would beat my ass, and then my mom would come home at night from work and see it, and then she would beat my ass. So I got beat 3 times in one day, and that's just a Monday. 7 days in the week now.
Not
So,
that's just a Monday.
I'm dead serious, and that's just the belt. And then there's hangers, there's hands, there's just like different things that go into this. So I had a very abusive, like a pretty abusive childhood where I just like had to sit there and endure. Um, so it was a lot of like anger at my dad, a lot of yelling, a lot of arguing, a lot of loud noises because Jamaicans. And yeah, most of my childhood was just me waiting out until I can like dip from living with my mom. But I knew there's two things I had to prepare for before I leave my mom. and I had to be nice and I had to be smart. Because I realized that being nice to people helped kept me from getting my ass beat, right? Which and then naturally I just felt like I was like a good kid. I didn't really have any give anybody any reason to beat me, which was another reason why I felt like I was being abused. Because I was like, I'm not doing anything, or this punishment doesn't fit what you're mad at me about, or why are you so mad about this? It's not that bad.
Mm.
So everything got escalated in my house or in my living environment. um, and yeah, I just realized that if I was nice to people, that nobody had a reason to like hit me, and then also if I was smart, I wasn't getting my ass beat because I was passing I was getting good grades and stuff like that. So, um, traumatized wise, I became a people pleaser and very intelligent because I had to use as like methods of like not being abused.
Well, that's what happens with most uh, children. Same that are neglected or abused in childhood. You become people pleasers because you want people to not speak to you or negatively or hit you, physically. And then also you become like you become mature early because you have to be able to communicate in a way that can get you out of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that also can go on to adulthood where you're still people pleasing because you associate, satisfying people with acceptance and being kept. You're always working to basically be loved and not be
Mm.
abused.
Hmm.
Um,
And also that helped me grow into being comfortable with solitude. So I was like, that's when I also realized that I can't hurt myself, right? And if I'm by myself, nobody can hurt me here. So I kind of developed this like comfort with being alone.
mhm.
Very, very, and to this day, super comfortable with being alone. I like working alone. I like work. I like just being in my own space, be able to move. I can travel alone, and I feel it's not even a second thought. You know, how some people like think about it like it's not even a second thought for me because I'm just so used to it. Um, so yeah, and then even when I came home, my mom really didn't even allow me to have friends in my house after school. So I spend a lot of my time at other people's houses,
Mm.
or if I go home, I'm just alone. So it became lonely. I did grow up with like my cousins for like a few years, but then my mom and my her twin got into a really bad fight, so we moved out, and it was just like really me and my mom, and just constantly, over and over, hearing about my mom complaining about my dad. My
Same.
dad constantly lying to my mom. Them telling me stuff and then saying, "Don't tell your mom. Don't tell your dad." My dad isn't like dad of the year. He's not even dad of the day, in my life. So like him not doing anything for me not really feeling a connection to my dad, and then still getting my ass beat for a nigga that I don't even like. I don't even fuck with the nigga. You don't fuck with the nigga. Why you beating my ass because of this nigga?
Mm.
Leave me out of it. So a lot of my childhood was just like dealing with like the bullshit between my parents, and it kind of also made me have a big disdain for like lying and cheating. Like it doesn't even excite me because I was so engulfed in it with like lying, cheating, being deceitful, being toxic. It's not even entertaining to me. You know, it's not even entertaining. It doesn't give me a thrill. It's nothing that I seek. Actually, when somebody tells me the truth, I start getting off. Like, oh yeah, you tell me all the truth. I kind of like this. Keep going. You know how people get off with like the toxic. No, I'm the total opposite because I'm just not used to being in healthy situations. I'm not used to being in truthful, honest situations. So when somebody's doing it, it's like, oh, this is it's kind of sexy. It's exciting. Um, and yeah, so aside from all the fucking abuse that I had to deal with when I was a kid, I also grew up in like rough towns of Brooklyn during the 90s and the 2000s. So, yeah, a lot of my childhood is based in survival and wit. And so I think that's why now I can like kind of like figure out situations very easily, get myself out of situations. Also talk myself into and out of situations. very well because I had to like figure out how to talk to adults
Yeah.
so long and talk properly too.
Yeah, I have to read your astrology cafe because even in there, it's a natal chart reading that you can look on online if you know what time you're born. But that was one of the things I read in mine is that like yeah, you mature and you learn how your vocabulary is advanced and like because you need to learn how to communicate with adults to survive in ways. And I remember that too. I remember thinking like I'm never gonna be a cheater. Like this is so whack. I remember telling my mom when I was like 6, like, yo, like, why don't you just leave? Like, and if a 6-year-old has the mind frame to tell a grown ass woman that doesn't listen, you know, it's interesting. I mean, because listen, 30 years later, and it's the same shit.
At Thanksgivings, Christmases.
But I mean, holidays, I guess, are usually straight. But I think I just got tired. I was just,
Oh, sorry, I'm getting comfortable. My white toenails. I know how much you love them.
I was so, stop. I was so tired of hearing motherfuckers fight. I was just like, I'm never going to do this. And when I met a porn star when I was like 16 and I lied about my age. And he told me like upon like first hanging out, he was like, I was like, do you have a girlfriend? He was like, I have a couple of girlfriends. You want to be one? And I had never heard anyone be that honest. I was like, whoa, this exists. And I was intrigued by it. You know, like I was young. I didn't know shit about porn. I didn't know he was in it. I just knew I was a lying ass, fast ass teenage girl trying to like essentially get attention from people and grown men and not think anything was wrong with it. Because my parents didn't talk to me at all about sex. It was just about what I should not do. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of conversation. It was just like yelling and a lot of me defending myself and a lot of me just not feeling like trusted. Like,
You don't
yeah.
think I can do this? You don't think I can handle myself?
Well, it's just like she's like, well, she'd be like in front of me with other people, like supposedly Jamila. Da, da, da. I'm like, not supposedly, bitch. I'm right here. Like this is what happened. But there was just a lot of conversations like that, and a lot of like, you don't know better. It was just constant criticism and constant arguing to the point where it's like even when I got pregnant with my daughter. Me and her dad are high school sweethearts, and there was a time where like that cycle was so clear. I was just like, oh, I'm about to be my mom and my dad if I stay in this, and that was probably my biggest motivation to move on because I saw firsthand what it does to grown ass people who don't get a hold of themselves and don't trust each other and disrespect each other, and there's constant arguing and how it affected me, and I was just like not trying to copy paste the same shit. And I mean, I think I've become really well with my words, and in ways, there are times where it's been manipulative.
Well, you are an author, so you should be good with your words.
Yeah. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of journaling growing up. I have like journals on journals on journals on journals until my parents read my journal and found out I was a lesbian. And then I stopped writing because I was traumatized between that and the fucking Lutheran school calling DHS.
It's like, who can you trust?
Yeah, so there's major trust issues. Just also experiencing it from my dad cheating and my mom fucking chasing him constantly. And that was another thing. I constantly felt like she was chasing him. When a 6-year-old tells you you should leave and you don't, and then years and years and years of the same shit, I was like, this is sad on your part. And I honestly felt like it was weak. And that she couldn't make any decisions without my dad.
Yeah, that's that word, that weak word.
And I don't know if I had the words then, but now I realize like that's my perception of her. And like codependent. And I just never wanted to be that way. I never wanted to have anything to do with being a woman who needed a man or needed a relationship, especially where it didn't seem like the other person was participating. And
that was another thing for me, was that I felt like my mom, why did you want this relationship so bad? My dad wasn't even that popping, like personality wise, like charming wise, he got it. That's where I got my charm from. I can't even deny that.
I mean, Jamaican
my dad,
man.
yeah, that's all. You know, I mean, you know how we do it. But my dad, charming wise, was there. But other than that, his whole situation was nothing to chase after. So that was what I just never understood, and it made me realize that people want relationships more than they want the actual person. So it made me not want to be with someone based on the person itself. I never wanted a relationship that bad if the person didn't fit the profile, and realizing like what a I always knew what a bad relationship should look like, but I never knew what a good one looked like. So anytime something will go like a little bit off in my relationship, it's like, oh, there it is. There's the bad stuff. But anytime something good happens, it's just like I'm just like blind to it, just eerie to it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Um, if someone is being uh, what's the word I'm looking for? If someone is asking you what you want, what's the word I'm looking for? If someone's asking what you considering you, if someone's being considerate, right? I wouldn't be able to pick it up that well, because I will always feel like I'm always around people that are inconsiderate, right? So when someone is being considerate to me, I'm not really paying attention to it. So I can't pinpoint when people are doing good things for me, but I can always pinpoint when something bad or toxic is happening in a relationship. So I don't have a marked history of all the good things when I think about the bad thing. So it just feels like there's just a bunch of bad things in my relationship, but it's really that I'm not noticing the good parts of it. It's because it's easy for me to pick up when things are bad in a relationship, because I've seen a bad relationship all my life. But I don't really have good examples of good relationships for me to go, oh, this is a good thing in a relationship. I should like this. I should pay attention to this. This person is thinking of me or doing something that that constitutes of a healthy relationship. That was hard for me. My only way of understanding how to move in life was, oh, I'm just gonna do opposite of my parents, and if I do opposite of them, I should be fine, because they're just so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say something and I forgot.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
No.
Another thing that was happening, I just had it in my head and it just left me. Another thing that was happening in my life was that when I first finally had somebody, I think I was like 19, step up to my mom, like in defense of me, it meant the world to me. That's why Auntie means so much to me, because she was the first person that defended me, other than me defending myself, defended me against my mom. Like, I've had to have fist fights with my mom. My mom has stabbed me. Mom has bitten me, and I had to get a tattoo to cover it. It's just like, there was just so many things that was happening between us growing up that made it like so scary to be around her, which is why I cut her off now. Because in my adult age, I was like, all right, I'm old enough to defend myself against you, but it's just always scary to have her in my life, because there's just different things that she can do that can be detrimental to me. And when I think about, are the bikes louder in LA? I just don't get it. When I think about, like my childhood and how lonely it was, when it comes to healing, I really have to go back. When it comes to healing, I go back and I look at myself, and I always just see a boy just sitting there by himself, cuddled up, alone.
Oh, poor baby. Yeah, I realize that we're all kind of, in one way or another, like polluted with the standards of the childhood, and it can show up in different ways. And I think also for me, just seeing my mom just always be available to somebody and always be like mad about it just made me not want to be in a relationship.
Oh, that's what you were saying. You were saying codependency, and how you were seeing it in your own relationship when you had Luna.
I mean, just being, the codependency that was created between me and her dad. We were together all the time. Like, it was like if I didn't shower with him, it was an issue. It would just became toxic. But I've never wanted to be a codependent person, which is like, I think there's two sides. Like, you do everything to be anti your parents. And I did, but then there's an underlying craving to want to be kept and to want to be loved. And so I think I've also like probably stayed in toxic relationships too long. But also I've been a fucking rebel without a cause, just not giving a fuck, and not finding interest in people, but just also just not wanting to feel like I needed anyone. And so just
You felt like that necessity of that
it made me
feeling
weak.
of because you can't stand on your own.
I just don't like to. I don't really even really like the term like I need you. I don't really love that. I don't think anyone needs anyone. I think people want each other, and as humans, we're supposed to be in community and connection. But growing, like, yeah, and I don't really love that term.
But you need me. Just say it. Say it out loud. Say you need me.
I need water and air.
Don't do that to me. Don't do me like that.
Food is a
Don't do me
need.
like that. You don't need me? Need.
Babe, I exist.
After knowing you, I need you.
Okay. But need is a strong word when you've obviously existed without me.
How am I going to continue existing without you, Milah? Tell me how I'm going to continue existing without you.
You could if you had to.
How?
If you had to, you would.
How?
You would be fine.
You know I could survive just off water, right?
Then food.
No.
Eventually you'll need
You could
food.
survive off just water, right?
You need food.
You don't need food.
After a certain amount of time, you need
You need
substance.
to consume things that'll keep you alive.
Okay.
I need you. And after, if there ever comes to a point where on this earth, you're not here, I don't know how I'm going to operate. So you've now become a necessity.
But you will. Even if you don't know how right now. You would know. You would figure it out.
I think you have a lot of, you're very opportunistic. Because I don't, not opportunistic.
What?
What's the fucking word I'm looking for?
Pessimistic.
No, the other one.
Optimistic?
Optimistic. I said opportunistic. You're very optimistic about this because I don't know how I'm going to go on without. How can I live without you? I want to know. Touch my hand. I love you.
I love you too.
I can't live without you. I do need you. But I do understand where you're coming from. You can let go of my hand now. You don't need to hold my hand. I can understand where you're coming from, though, about the not having that feeling under your wing, because then it puts you in a dangerous place of continue to pursue somebody that you don't need to be around.
Yeah, I think being a sensitive Cancer, I have been really good at building walls, but still maintaining closeness. I can be like people feel super comfortable with me, but I kind of make it that way.
I got a question for you.
Why do you have to stop tapping me with that big toe?
What's wrong with my toe?
It's not cute. You need to take that shit off. Honestly, it's old. It's April. This shit has been on there since January 30th.
Leave the white toes alone.
That's crazy. It's been on there for like 3 months.
Is that a bad thing?
Yes.
It's only 2 months.
February, March.
It's 2 months.
It's April already. It's too long.
All right, fine. I'll take it off. We're talking about my white toes. If you want to see my white toes, please go on YouTube.
You are like in my space.
Please go on YouTube to see the white toes. You need to look up love like this. Piss Milah straight off. I have a question for you, and the question is, how do you feel like you're curating your family life now that's better or different than how you were raised?
I mean, it's way different. Our family life is extremely different. I've consciously made choices to not recreate the childhood I had, and that just means choosing someone I'm not fucking arguing with every day, and we're not arguing over basic shit like faithfulness and monogamy and I don't feel like I'm begging anyone to be here. It's just like a two-way street versus not. I think raising a child in a space where there's healthy love exemplified, and just being able to love out loud and in a healthy manner kind of changes the trajectory for her, because she has a standard of what it looks like for her mom to be loved, and so she has a standard of what it looks like for her to be loved when she becomes an adult. There's no gray area about like how a man should love and appreciate her, how she should communicate. I think that all of those things, like I knew they loved each other, I knew they knew each other for a long time, but just the day-to-day interactions and communications were so toxic. It was confusing for me. I knew I didn't want to recreate it, but I didn't really know what it looked like on the other hand.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, what the bad relationship looks like, but when you're trying to make a good relationship, I don't even know where the fuck to start.
Well, this relationship has kind of showed me that it requires a lot of childhood shadow work, because you don't realize until you're in a healthy space that you show up in a certain way because that's all you know. And so I've realized in this relationship and then with some others that there is a level of self-awareness and reflection you have to be willing to do and willing to like dig into to kind of have a successful and healthy relationship, because we're dealing in my childhood traumas and triggers. We're dealing with your childhood traumas and triggers. And, obviously some are different and some are the same.
Yeah.
And how we show up and like how we shut down and when we put our guards up, those are all things to consider. And, how we feel safe. And
safety is so fucking big. That guard, knowing when to put your guard up, or your guard being up regardless, and safety is such
it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's such a deep thing, because I feel like you could put your guard up at the wrong instances, thinking that something is fucked up when it's not, when you don't feel safe in your relationship. And then when you finally feel safe in that relationship, you start questioning that guard, right? You ever feel like that?
What do you mean questioning the guard?
Like, I felt safe with you in relationships, and it made it so that when we get into disagreements, I start questioning, like, oh, I don't need to put my guard up here. Like, do I? Wait, I don't think I need to. I feel safe. So it's like, it's confusing when you feel safe with someone that you're in a disagreement with, when usually a disagreement has been detrimental.
Yeah. I just think when you want to be with someone for the long run, generally like someone who, like myself, who feels like, people are not disposable, but like I'm good. I don't really need anyone for forever. I feel like it's easier to always just go with that. Someone pisses you off, someone says the wrong thing, I can lock into that and just be like, I'm good, fuck you. Even if I'm around you still, I could still just be like, okay, that's cool, but in my mind, I know where to keep you. And it's obviously that's challenging if you want to be with someone forever, because that's not going to benefit you or the relationship if you're constantly finding reasons to dip.
I'm not going to leave you.
I'm not going to leave you either.
But you got to say you need me.
Okay, well, we're going to work on that later. Whoopi Goldberg wrote a book that says, if you say you need me, I'm running. Or something like that. I felt that.
Whoopi Goldberg is single.
Yes, she is.
I'm going to write a book that says, if you get me to say I need you, then we're going to stuck together forever. Like, that's one person's perspective.
It's Whoopi.
But it's Whoopi. You feel like there's anything from your traumas, from your childhood, that it's hard for you to... That was the wrong question. You feel like there's anything from your childhood traumas that you feel has weeded its way into your adulthood?
Everything. Everything from your childhood will weave your way into adulthood, and then you have to actively work to keep the things away that you don't want to continue with, that you don't want to hold on to, they don't want to become a part of your identity. But I got news for you, like 9 times out of 10, it's there, whether you'd like to acknowledge it or not, and whether it shows up exactly how you think it would. It may not look exactly like your mom or your dad, but like there are things in which show up in your relationship that even pertain to how they treated you, or the feeling of absence you felt with them, the feeling of neglect, that when you start to feel those feelings or things that seem familiar or similar, you will run, or you will shut down, or you will freeze, you know, like that's just the reality of it. If you have nothing to compare it to, these are your childhood memories and experiences are the foundation of your personality in ways.
One of mine is I can't make promises, because I just constantly remember my dad saying that he promised me that he's gonna do something, and over again, constantly not doing it, like to the point of bringing me to tears.
I mean, my dad is I don't trust anything my dad says anymore. I mean, and I realize now as an adult, like, he meant well making promises, but it never really hit. And so it's just, I don't know if now that's why I don't really trust men that much. But
Do you trust me?
Yeah.
That didn't sound like a convincing yeah. It's like, yeah, I guess.
I do trust you.
Okay, I hope so.
I know, but the other day I told you I don't trust anyone, and you didn't really like that.
It's confusing. One time you told me I do need you, or like you have an emotional moment. You're like, I do need you. I realized with you here and helping with Luna, I realized I do need you. That's what you said. I
don't think anybody is supposed to do it alone. Honestly, I don't think we're meant as humans to be.
We're also not even supposed to raise ourselves alone.
Yeah, this shit takes it. Can you please get that fucking foot out of my shot?
God.
Thanks.
I want you to rub my feet.
Take the nail polish off.
Okay, fine. Take it off tonight. Need someone.
What?
You were saying.
What was I saying?
That you needed me.
Is that what I was saying?
That's what you were saying.
I don't think that's what I was saying.
Well, I'm glad that we can do family better now. I will say that Luna has helped me a lot with being like curating family and knowing how to curate it, because I look at her at whatever age she's at, and I think about where I was at that age and what I wanted in a parent, what I wanted in somebody to be there for me. So it's like kind of fun and easy for me to parent with her, even though it's like not walking. It's learning on the job, because I've only been here for 3 years or so. But it's kind of dope to parent her because I think about where I was, and it helps also do work on me, remembering where I was back at that time and healing whatever bullshit that I had to go through back at that time by being a better person to her. Fuck being a father, just being a better person to her.
I mean, definitely for those of you who have kids or are thinking about it, like parenting, being a parent, if you're seeking healing, is literally like a fast pass to digging into your childhood trauma, because things will come up. Even for me, like, as soon as I got pregnant, there's a bunch of things, questions were posed. But as you hit different ages and you see a child develop and hit different milestones, and you can go back to those points in your life when you're at those ages, you'll find more understanding and sometimes compassion for your own parents. And like, damn, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And also, this is very annoying. Mm-hmm. I'm not really like a kid person. Like, I really like adult shit. And also just for me, like things that I experienced at a young age, I'm like, oh, that wasn't normal. Well, that's not normal. That wasn't normal for this age of a person. But, and then it makes you look at the trauma and look at the experiences differently, and actually in a more clearer view. But mostly I just realized, like, a lot of people are like, I'm healed or I'm healing, and they isolate themselves. But you're not really healing if you're alone. Different people are going to show up and show you different parts of yourself. And so if you're around the same people all the time, if you're alone all the time, there will be no triggers because you've put yourself in a controlled environment. And sometimes it requires you to be in different relationships, see your kid at different ages to kind of like do different work on yourself that, trigger you and reflect at a different point in your life. So I just think like, yeah, there's the last relationship I was in with this very toxic guy. He was like being super manipulative. He's bipolar, but
He's bipolar.
it can be like if you go untreated or undiagnosed. He was undiagnosed, but like unmedicated, whatever. It can be extremely manipulative human beings. But there was a time where he was like rejecting me, and it was like, why the fuck is this bothering me so bad? Like, I know he's probably not my person. And it just dawned on me that there was a level of rejection that I was being triggered by, not like someone leaving me. It was like these abandonment issues were coming up. And I like, it like triggered me into this point of like finding myself in the house I grew up in at a certain age. But I don't know what prompted me to know to do that. But that's generally an exercise and practice like therapists do or different healers do to kind of start doing shadow work and childhood trauma work. But it was the first time I saw really clearly how my abandonment issues showed up in like how I attracted toxic people and how I wanted to keep them. It was like, no matter how toxic you are, I want you to want me back. I want to be chosen. And I think a lot of people, moms, a lot of women specifically get caught up in the wanting to be chosen back and not even really realizing, like, do I want to be chosen by this nigga? Probably not. But again, like wanting to just be chosen and spoken for, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. I wonder what it is in our minds that triggered us to go, you know what, I'm not going to be this. Because I see that there are a lot of men that see the type of relationships that we were raised in and just copy it. Or
Replicate it?
Yeah, a lot of people see the relationships that their parents were in and just like replicate it and think that that's how it's going to go. So I always wonder like what's in us that made us go, I can't do any of this. Or maybe I just got the shit beat out of me. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just need to not be around these people.
I mean, it's subjective. Everybody's different. Just like two siblings can have the same alcoholic parents. One is sober, one turns into an alcoholic.
True.
It's just like personal experiences kind of seep into our identities differently because we are different humans. And so just like we have kids and they need different things. Like how you parent one kid is not how you're going to parent another one. But this human shit is complicated. It really is. It's just like the more I, dig into the relationship and long-term relationships, it's just like it's hard enough to deal with yourself. It's hard enough to dig through the layers of yourself and the things that you've been through and to understand and shit, sometimes even remember. And then you have a kid and you're like, oh God, I got to like deal with your shit. And I'm never getting rid of you, but also you have an attitude. And like, what does this look like for you? And what do you need? And then you voluntarily get in a relationship and then you're like, oh God, no, there's you. There's this third person who needs me and needs different things and has their own set of traumas and, toxic experiences that I have to now be aware of triggers and we're all kind of not tiptoeing but kind of like tiptoeing around who we really are and who we present, because most of us don't present as our trauma. We're not like wearing it. I mean, some people wear it on their sleeve as a badge of honor, but for the most part you're not like going on a date and being like, hi, I'm Milah, and when I was 6 like that's generally not like how we show up in the world. And so when we start to go deeper with people and get intimate and literally like intimate spaces, like you may not even be trying to do that, but you are as you love, different layers get lifted and you get deeper into those things. Like inevitably shit will come up.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're avoiding it.
Mm.
And if you avoid it, it limits how close you can get with the person. How close, how intimate you can get with yourself is definitely an indication of how intimate you can get with your partner. And how willing you are to just like get weird, be ugly, dig into the ugly shit, dig into the stuff that isn't as pretty or likable, and just be like, this is what it is.
Yeah. Wow. I was gonna use that as like the ending note, the dedication of love or something positive to everybody. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I also think that if you want to start a family or you have a family or you or whatever, you should really look back into your own family dynamic. If you want to improve, upgrade, progress your own relationship and family dynamic, whether you're a single parent in a two-parent home or what the fuck ever, you should probably really look back into your own family dynamic and the triggers and things that you can improve on so that, it's helpful when you start your own family.
This is literally what generational healing is. If you want to heal the generation that you're bringing into the world, you literally need to heal your wounds. And you have to heal the wounds of your mother and your father in ways, and the things that they didn't heal. Because what I learned is that like whatever toxic shit overpouring that they got in their childhood is likely the overpouring of toxic shit that you're getting. And we will continue to overpour to our kids, and they will continue to do the same shit if we don't take the time to peel back the layers and heal and cure ourselves, so that I'm not putting this on my kid. I'm not taking, Miles and Joanne's shit and Mila's shit and putting it on Luna. I'm not, so it's just like we have this unique opportunity to sit still long enough and kind of, obviously we're all surviving, but we have access and the information to be like, do I need to go to therapy before I fucking sign up for having a kid?
Yeah.
Like what is the family dynamic? Like how were you raised? What traumas and triggers are you bringing to the table that I need to be aware of so that I'm not constantly triggering you? And let's compare them and like see if this is possible, so I'm not adding to the trauma if I'm aware of your experiences. And I think a lot of us are just getting into relationships like, oh, you're cute, I like you, and we're fucking and it's good and that's great. But then there's some really real conversations that need to be had, like, how are you raised? What's your relationship with women because of your mom? And what's your relationship with, your dad? And all those things, because they will inevitably come up in your relationship. And how do you raise your kids? What is your intention? Religion, spirituality, how, responsibilities, discipline. Those are all things that people like, you think it's all sweet and great, but like diet. What are we doing? And it's really like a partnership, a business plan of such, like raising a children and raising a family. And it is spiritual. And it could be extremely healing if you allow it to be.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too.
Would you like to hold my hand?
Sure.
Would you like to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me at Milah with an H_map with 2 P's on Instagram. And yeah, that's it.
You can find me at WH_Orlando Roy on socials. We are Hoochie Mom and Dad on the socials also. I love you. I was close to tearing up.
Why?
Just hearing about what you've been through all your life and how much I love you, and just seeing how you turn it around to be an amazing mom.
Thanks.
It's beautiful. And I've told you before that, you kind of make it easy to hop in and be a dad because you've done so much good work with being a mom yourself.
I have a good kid.
Yeah.
And I feel like, just so you know, this next chapter there will be a lot of digging, a lot of reflecting, a lot of peeling back the layers of things that I maybe have avoided. And I don't know. Let's see what that looks like.
Maybe you'll finally say you need me. Y'all might not have a life like ours, but you could have a love like this. I hope y'all feel needed. Bye.
Bye.
I never knew there was a
Well, la like this.